Welcome. In this video we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about one of the new modules that's added into DAnalyzer version 4, and that's inventory details. You've probably seen in other videos, if you've watched them, that working with these grids is really straightforward. You have a large list of columns that you can choose from, and you can drag and drop columns into the default lists, which can then be printed. So for example, if I wanted to add allow returns in here, I can just drag the column in. I can choose to best fit all the columns, close that column list, choose print, and I can generate a report. And choosing that print option basically generates a report of everything that's displayed in the grid. You've probably seen further that you can apply filters. So here I can use the filter editor or a variety of different filtering mechanisms to filter. Here I can say part number, description, contains, for example, speaker, and go ahead and click on OK, and that subsets the list so that I see a short list. These are all basic concepts that apply to how the grid works. What I want to show you here is some things that we've done with inventory that allow you to create your own custom reports, and some examples of some custom reports that we've created just to give you an idea of what this powerful tool can do for your business. I'm just going to go up here and show you that we've created some previous layouts, and I'm just going to go through these one by one. I'm going to leave the inventory required quantity one to the last as part of another explanation. Basically what we've done here, if I go ahead and click on OK, is created various different layouts for different purposes, and these are actually used in a business for specific purposes, and I'll explain what they are. Here what we've done is just simply taken the inventory type and grouped by that inventory type column, and then created subtotals for current values. I'm just going to minimize this so we can see it a little easier. So we can see things like total values based on current cost, year-to-date sales, and so on, but grouped based on inventory type. This could be a valuable report for you in terms of trying to figure out how much inventory is invested in terms of value in raw materials versus your finished goods or manufactured items. That applies in some businesses. Obviously in other businesses, if you're not using manufactured or kitting, then that might not apply. Other types of reports, inventory value. That's actually one that we use fairly extensively in one of the businesses that uses DAnalyzer, and this is just keeping an eye on overall value of inventory. So here we're concerned about things like group based on product category, what our value is in terms of each of these categories. So for example, if I scroll down to speakers, for example, that's an area that has a lot of items in it, I can see how much my current cost is and how much my average cost is, the overall value of inventory. As you would expect in a lot of businesses, it actually costs more to buy inventory now than it did at the time at which I was receiving items in the past. We can also keep an eye on things like year-to-date unit sales and year-to-date overall dollar value sales. That's an important number because we want to pay attention to those values as they change over time to make sure that our investment in inventory is worthwhile. Lots of other example layouts. Last activity is kind of a neat one that takes advantage of something that BusinessVision does. What we've done here is, it's an inventory listing, but we've actually moved in the date modified, which is the date at which the item was last modified, as well as the user initials of the person who last modified it. In one of the businesses that uses DAnalyzer, they use this fairly extensively as just a way of keeping an overall eye on what's happening with inventory. It kind of serves two purposes. One, you can keep an eye on what's changed throughout the day. You just sort based on date modified so that the most recent modified is at the top. And you can also use this as a way of looking at those things that are least modified. And that, of course, can be a warning sign. If you see that you have on-hand quantities and inventory value invested in items that aren't selling, and selling will modify the last modified date, then you have a concern that you can address. Put those items on sale, figure out why they're not selling, are they stocked properly. There's all kinds of issues that you can investigate based on this. And similarly, those items that last were modified, you might want to know why they were modified. Was it because the item was received? Was it because the item was sold? Was it transferred from a different warehouse if you're using warehousing? This is really a good overview report for giving you an idea of what items are active on a day-by-day basis as opposed to those items that are least active. Let's look at last year, this year, compare. In the inventory area details part of DAnalyzer, one of the things we do is sum up the unit sales and dollar value sales as they're stored in the inventory record. And again, this is a really good eyeball useful report. What this is showing you basically is comparatively what are your unit sales last year versus this year. So I can have a look at this list or sort this list. For example, I might want to know what the highest unit sales selling this year are. I'll sort that. Let's sort the highest to the top. And now I can compare that. That's the highest selling item. How is it relative to last year? For CD800s, for example, it's a high selling item. I'm partway through the year. Is that the kind of ratio I would expect in terms of unit sales or dollar value sales? Again, they're calculated fields that we add into the inventory module to make it more useful and to provide good business information. I'm going to move through these really quickly. These are just examples. You can create all these and more. Here's another example of a report that is often used in businesses. This is kind of a validation report. We call it a price check report. Again, it was very easy to create. All I did was decide on what columns I wanted to move into this report and then set a filter. Filter's fairly straightforward. Basically, all the filter is doing is saying I'm interested in any items that don't have prices on price list 1 or price list 2. The idea here is that if I'm in an active business where people are receiving inventory on a daily basis, I want to know if they've for some reason left one of these price lists empty. In this particular case, there's no price, for example, for this item, and that might be because it's a new item that just came in the door and they haven't established a price. We don't want somebody putting that on a sales order or selling it until we've got a proper selling price established against it, which takes into account its cost price and so on. When you're dealing with multiple price lists, juggling that kind of information can be difficult, so this could be even more elaborate. You could have up to the full 20 selling price lists, validating whether or not there's actual information in those sell price lists, and then taking the necessary action in BusinessVision to properly establish a selling price. We'll move through these quickly. Promotions, that's another good one. BusinessVision has a promotional price list report, but it's very terse. It basically tells you that the items are on promotion. What it doesn't let you monitor is some of the things that might impact your choices regarding that promotion. So for example, here this is telling me that there are 2 items in BusinessVision that are on promotion, but more than that, what the selling price is for that promotion, what the current state of inventory is. I might be concerned, for example, if I don't have enough inventory. Here's an example where I have 84 on hand, but I have items in back order and the full 84 are committed. That might mean I might want to buy more to try and support that. I might want to take that item off promotion because I know that I've sold through everything that I have. Again, this is kind of useful daily reports that you could run that would help you manage your inventory relative to promotions that are currently taking place. Let's select a different one. Returns list is another useful one. BusinessVision has a flag basically that says that an item is allowed to be returned. What it doesn't really have is reports that kind of allow you to take actions based on those returns. So what we've done here is we've created a report that specifies that we're interested in items that are on return or allowed to be returned, but then we've added a criteria that says on hand is greater than reorder point. The reason we've done this is if I wanted to get an idea how much value I could get back, I'm interested in knowing those items that are on return, but more than that, those items where the on hand is greater than the reorder point, meaning this is the value of inventory that theoretically I could return and get money back from or trade-ins from vendors for. So again, very useful production type report where I can quickly determine, yes, these are the items that are allowed to be returned, but more than that, these are the items where the on hand exceeds the reorder point, and that gives me some idea, including unit sales, how much I might want to return and the kind of value I can get back if I do. I'm going to move really quickly through this. One of probably the most useful reports is a report we call the validation report. And basically what a validation report does is tells us when there are items in the inventory module that have been set up that aren't completely set up correctly. And this is a bit of a problem in business systems. When you allow people to enter in inventory items, you kind of have to presume that they're going to enter in all the values that are necessary. In the particular business this kind of report is used in, it's important that all items have UPC codes and all items be assigned to the proper product code categories. So here what we're looking at is all items that either are missing a product category or are missing a UPC code. And again, this is a kind of a call to action report where I would use this report then to go back to inventory and determine what those items are, properly establish the UPC codes against those items, and assign those items that aren't currently tied to a product category to the appropriate product category. And that might be for proper reporting, that might be for proper discounting. There's lots of things that can be used for validation. Again, this is just an example. I can add to that validation quite a lot. I can say that I'm interested in items that have missing product categories, missing UPC codes, items that are assigned sales departments, or not assigned sales departments that are appropriate. Pretty much any criteria I want to use for an item which we might not consider valid or properly set up. Last one I wanted to mention is kind of a specialized report. It's the inventory required quantity report. The reason I call this a specialized report is that throughout DAnalyzer we add special field calculations. Things like last year unit sales, this year unit sales, last year dollar sales, this year dollar sales are calculated fields that include the detail and summarize it into a value you can work with. What we've done with the required quantity is we've actually done a calculated field called required quantity based on the back order quantity, on-hand quantity, on-order quantity, those items you're ordering via purchase order, reorder point, committed, and minimum buy quantity. And the calculation basically is saying how much people are interested in buying, how much of that is in a committed status, what the state of your reorder point is that you want to make sure that you stock to, and the minimum buy quantity, meaning that you can't stock less than or buy less than that. And that calculates this value. Where this report becomes very useful is you can quickly sort, as this default report does, based on the required quantity and see those items that require action. So here I can see, for example, that based on the fact that I've got a large back order and that all the stock that I have is currently in a committed status, I know that I have a required quantity that I should take some action on. And that varies on an item-by-item basis. Some items, for example, are fully in back order. I have some on order, and this is telling me that because I'm ordering 5, I should still consider ordering 5 more. I'm going to be short-stocked on those 5. Extremely useful type of report that can really help a business manage their inventory requirements at a summary level via the inventory module. Again, because this is a DAnalyzer detail grid, all the power that you're used to having in terms of introducing filters and the various different filter options that are here and adding the many available columns that are here in inventory is all at your fingertips. Building these reports takes very little effort, and they can be huge time savers in terms of being able to manage inventory. Of course, like all the other detail grids, this particular grid's easily exportable or printable. You saw me print earlier, but I can export just as easily to Excel. And here we can see that that basically is all the information that we saw exported to Excel, and I can then apply further formulas or math or whatever it is that I want to do with my inventory. The main reason we introduced inventory in here, being a non-transactional module, is to be able to allow users to do the kinds of custom report things that they might want to do without the headaches of custom report writers and the complications of custom report writers.